Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to The Pickup with Colin and McAdams. Here with me is
Alfred Sanchez.
On our podcast called The Pickup, we look forward to the upcoming NBA season, talking about all things basketball until the opening day, talking about the new players, the new teams, and what we expect for the upcoming season.
On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the top 100 player list released by ESPN about a week ago. So, Colin, who do you think is the most underrated on the list?
I think the most underrated on the list is probably Josh Richardson for the Philadelphia 76ers. Their acquisition of him from the Heat this offseason makes him a way better team. He's a defender and a three player. He'll be a point of emphasis like J.J. Redick was last year, and I think he'll have a big year for them.
I agree with you. Josh Richardson does deserve to be up more on the list, but my most underrated on the list was probably Devin Booker. No way you put him below C.J. McCollum or Bradley Beal. He's way more efficient than C.J. and Bradley Beal, even though they get a lot more attention just because their teams are winning. Well, C.J. McCollum's team is winning.
Robert Covington has been a big snub on the list. He was number 97, almost not even on the list. I think that just his injuries last year kind of affected him throughout his sturdiness, and it just made it look like he was worse than he was. He's a really good defender, and he could be a starter in this league.
I don't know about that. I kept Robert Covington at the same exact place ESPN put him. I honestly would not take him over Julius Randle or John Morant, just because Julius Randle, Robert Covington is a way better defender, but if I want to score the ball in today's league, I'm taking Julius Randle over him. Another Phoenix Sun that was snubbed, as seen underrated on the ESPN top 100 list, is DeAndre Ayton. The fact that he now has a true point guard and Devin Booker's not running point guard again this year, Ricky Rubio is going to feed him the ball more consistently, and then once the players start double teaming D-Book, DeAndre is going to have way more open looks, and it looks like he's put on at least maybe 2-3 pounds of muscle.
I definitely think Ricky Rubio will help both Ayton and Booker, but I also think that in order for Ayton to become the superstar that he needs to be, that he needs to get his jump shot way better. He missed a lot of open shots from the mid-range area, and if he gets that fixed, he will have a better year and probably should be up way higher in the next year's list. Good player on the list is Bam Adebayo for the Miami Heat. I think he's a really good starter in this league. He's a defender, tall, and grabs rebounds as well as scores. And he's not just a scorer inside the paint. He can range out your floor. He can shoot from the three and drive. So I think he's a really good piece to the Miami Heat team and their future. And I think Jimmy Butler and him will have a good season together this year.
I totally agree with that. Bam is going to improve a lot this year with Jimmy Butler's work ethic. He's gonna strive off of what Jimmy Butler is going to be doing in the locker room. But my other guy that was underrated is Klay Thompson. No way that Klay Thompson is that low on the list just because he got injured. I would honestly take Klay Thompson over half the players on the list with a torn ACL. He's the best, easily the best, one of the best shooting guards in the league. He can play defense, shoots a three. Only thing he needs to improve on is scoring off the dribble.
I agree with that as well. I think Klay Thompson kind of got snubbed just because of a torn ACL. I mean, he does have to come back strong for him to stay as one of the top players in the league. But before the injury and throughout the playoffs, he was looking as if he was one of the best players on the Warriors, if not one of the best three-point shooters in the league. My biggest person on the list who is overrated, though, probably Zion, as he's just a rookie, and I think you can't put him over at least 50 people in the NBA that he's better than if he hasn't played a single NBA game. I think he has to go out there and prove it in front of the whole crowd and in front of the other players. I think until then, he's still probably in the 90s or 80s.
Kind of disagree with that. Zion, I feel like Zion's going to have a really good year this year. He'll easily win Rookie of the Year. The only competition he has this year is John Morant. And the fact that he's almost as athletic as LeBron and is built like Karl Malone. There's no one going to be able to stop him in the league. If he develops a jump shot, he's going to be like literally a Kevin Love 2.0 with the vertical of a Blake Griffin. My most overrated player on this list was Trae Young. No way that he's above Chris Paul or Drew Holiday. If I wanted to win a championship going into the 2019-2020 season, I'm going to take Drew Holiday or Chris Paul on my team. Just because Drew Holiday and Chris Paul both play defense. They could both score the ball. Not as like shoot the three like Trae Young, but I'm taking a 3-and-D or a player that could play both ends and facilitate the ball for me.
Now my next biggest overrated player is Kristaps Porzingis, who is ranked number 34 by ESPN. I just think that coming off an ACL injury that took over a year and a half to recover from, it's going to be a lot harder for him to prove like how dominant he was before, and that he was off for so long that he needs to prove himself on the court with Dallas and with Luka before I can say that he's actually really good. Because before then, we don't know if he was just a good player on a bad team with the Knicks, or if he's just actually a really good player.
I totally agree that Porzingis does have to prove himself this year, but I disagree in the way that he's playing with better players than he did in New York. He has a good point guard, one of the best point guards in the league already, and I think he's going to be fantastic this year. He can spread the floor, the block shots, literally does everything. That's why they call him the unicorn. Next most overrated player I have on this list is C.J. McCollum. No way that he's above guys like Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Kemba Walker, and Ben Simmons.
I disagree. I feel that if CJ has had a really good past 2 seasons, and I think he's proven himself to be a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA, he shoots better than Donovan Mitchell and most other players in the guard position. He's really efficient by the 3 and by the mid-range, and he has a really nice off-the-dribble shot. And not a lot of people can guard that in the NBA, and I think it's really important for their backcourt duo for him to keep improving that and keep pushing them forwards, because last year they made it all the way to the Western Conference Championship, and I think they can make it farther. My final most overrated player is not that I don't think he's not good. I just think he's too young for you to put him in the top 20 this soon. I think it's Luka Doncic. I think that if you put him at 16 already past 1 season, I think that's just way too early. I think you need to give him a little time to actually finally prove himself in the league and make it to the playoffs before you can say he's top 20, top 15. And so I think he needs to prove that this year with Kristaps for him to be able to finally reach that position.
Yeah, I agree with Luka being a little too high at a young age, but he's kind of proven it over the past year. Now the most controversial part of the list was the top 3. ESPN had Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 1, Kawhi Leonard at 2, and LeBron James at number 3. Top 3, I would have Giannis at number 3, just because he doesn't really have that much offensive game. He just uses athleticism. He doesn't put it on the floor, dribble, make a jump shot like Kawhi or LeBron could do. Doesn't post up. Doesn't have nice footwork like LeBron and Kawhi. So that's why I have Kawhi at number 2. He plays both ends. Best defender in the league. And could be the best offensive player in the league, but LeBron's not the best offensive player in the league, but he's the most well-rounded. With the acquisition of Anthony Davis this year, you're going to see a better LeBron, a more fresh LeBron, coming off a year where he only played 56 games. LeBron's well-rested, and the league should be scared of that. And there's no way you have a 4-time MVP, a 3-time champion, and you have him at number 3 in the league.
I would have to agree as well, except I would put Giannis at number 2 and Leonard at number 3, because I think that Leonard had a lot of help with his team last year, and it was a well-rounded team for his style of play, and I think that helped them be able to work together and get to the finals. And then even though it was injury riddled, they did beat the Warriors. So I think that was a really good season, but I don't think Leonard has proved it throughout his entire career to be a top 3 player, while Giannis has throughout the past 3 or 4 years shown drastic increases in his game every year, and shown that he wants to be one of the best players in the league, and that's why he got MVP last year. Now with LeBron, I think he stays at number 1 just because he hasn't really fallen off, he still had a tremendous statistical year last year. Like, he still put up 20 plus points, put up over 7 rebounds and 7 assists. So I feel like you can't say that it's still not number one player when he's doing all of that with a less talented team than the previous teams he had with the Cavs and the Heat. And that's going to be it for our podcast to pick up today. I am your host, Colin McAdams.
I am Alfred Sanchez. And make sure you tune in for the next episode where we're going to be making playoff predictions, MVP predictions, everything like that. So make sure you tune in.